Hi guys, so going to continue reading ahead today. Welcome to another lecture in the series of lectures on the namesake. Um, Obviously, it continues to be a bit, what should I say, sad on a lot of levels because there are still descriptions of his life paused and everything happening around him. During the day, he was groggy from painkillers. At night, he dreamed either that he was still trapped inside the train or worse, that the accident had never happened. He was walking down a street, taking a bath, sitting cross legged on the floor, and eating a plate of food. And then he would wake up, coated in sweat, tears streaming down his face, convinced that he would never live to do such things again. Eventually, in an attempt to avoid his nightmares, he began to read late at night, which was when his motionless body felt more relentless, his mind agile and clear, yet he refused to read the Russians his grandfather had brought to his bedside, or any novels for that matter. Those books, set in countries he had never seen, reminded him only of confinement. Instead, he read his engineering books, trying his best to keep up with his courses, solving equations by flashlight. In those silent hours, he thought often of Ghosh, pack a pillow and a blanket. He heard Ghosh say. Pack a pillow and a blanket, he heard Ghosh say. He remembered the address Ghosh had written on a page of his diary somewhere behind the tram depot in Dollygunj. Now it was the home of a widow, a fatherless son. Each day, to bolster his spirits, his family reminded him of the future, the day he would stand unassisted, walk across the room. It was for this, each day, that his father and mother prayed, for this, that his mother gave up meat on Wednesdays. But as the months passed, Ashok began to envision another sort of future. He imagined not only walking, but walking away as far as he could from the place in which he was born and in which he had nearly died. The following year, with the aid of a cane, he returned to college and graduated, and without telling his parents, he applied to continue his engineering studies abroad. Only after he had been accepted with a full fellowship, a newly issued passport in hand, did he inform them of his plans. But we already nearly lost you once. His bewildered father had protested. His siblings had pleaded and wept. His mother, speechless, had refused food for 3 days. In spite of all that, he'd gone. 7 years later, there's still certain images that wipe him flat. They lurk around a corner as he rushes through the engineering department at MIT, checks his campus mail. They hover by his shoulder as he leans over a plate of rice at dinner time, or nestles against Ashima's limbs at night. At every turning point in his life, at his wedding, when he stood behind Ashima, encircling her waist and peering over her shoulder as they poured puffed rice into a fire, or during his first hours in America, seeing a small grey city caked with snow. He has tried but failed to push those images away, the twisted, battered, capsized bogies of the train, his body twisted below it, the terrible crunching sound he had heard but not comprehended, his bones crushed as fine as flour. It is not the memory of pain that haunts him. He has no memory of that. It is the memory of waiting before he was rescued, and the persistent fear rising up in his throat that he might not have been rescued at all. To this day, he is claustrophobic, holding his breath in elevators, feels pent up in cars unless the windows are open on both sides. On planes, he requests the bulkhead seat. At times, the wailing of children fills him with deepest dread. At times, he still presses his ribs to make sure that they're solid. He presses them now in the hospital, shaking his head in relief, disbelief. Although it is Ashima who carries the child, he too feels heavy with the thought of life, of his life, and the life about to come from it. He was raised without running water, nearly killed at 22. Again, he tastes the dust on his tongue, sees the twisted train, the giant overturned iron wheels. None of this was supposed to happen. But no, he had survived it. He was born twice in India and then a third time in America. 3 lives by 30. For this he thanks his parents. For this he thanks his parents and their parents and the parents of their parents. He does not thank God. He openly reveres Marx and quietly refuses religion. But there's one more dead soul he has to thank. He cannot thank the book the book has perished, as he nearly did, in scattered pieces in the earliest hours of an October day, in a field 209 kilometers from Calcutta. Instead of thanking God, he thanks Gogol, the Russian writer who saved his life, when Patty enters the waiting room. So see, a lot of obviously a lot of aftermath of the accident has continued in this paragraph too, and it is very depressing on every level. But what's more interesting to note is how Lahiri has clearly mentioned that even after years have passed, when something sad ever happens, it stays. People tend to justify it as something like, you can wear your scars as badges and stuff like that, but that's just a theory that humans come up with, right? Because words are just words. The reality is that those are not badges, those are weights that weigh anybody down from who they could have been if someone had not done something that they perhaps should have not, because everybody knows what they're doing, right? Whether it was the train guy who may have fallen asleep or something like that, whatever it was. Or even if you compare it to real life events, and that's perhaps what the task will be about. I wouldn't do much commentary on what we've read right now. I would just say go through the notes and definitely do the task that I've given. And see you guys in another video soon. I guess that's about it. If you like the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to stay updated for whenever a new